Hey guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink, and today I'm going to talk about the jazz guitar, basic jazz guitar. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and you join the HPCrazy Guitar Academy, because I strongly recommend both, but especially the second one, because jazz guitar, you can do many basic rock guitar, basic blues guitar tutorials which bring things together in 1 hour or in a half an hour, but on jazz this is not possible. It's like a journey which you start somewhere, and it's really, if you compare jazz guitar to blues guitar from the complexity, like blues guitar is like this, from the theory and how to, and as soon as it starts working, and jazz guitar is like I don't know, like this or even more. And it's absolute essential in jazz guitar that you know theory, otherwise you have no chance. I mean, you can somehow move around. If you play jazz blues, you can do the same thing which you learn in blues, in jazz blues. If you play rhythm changes, somehow you can do that, but the rest you have no chance without any theoretical knowledge. But that's the bad news. The good news is I can make it as simple as possible for you. I can tell you what is really recommended and what is really needed, and where you can make kind of shortcuts. But at the end, you will not get through with shortcuts. You need to know everything. But at the beginning, there is theory needed to understand what. I mean, it's like riding a bike. If you don't know how to do this on the bike, you cannot ride a bike. And in jazz, it's probably riding 10 bikes at the same time, you know. That's the main problem. But with my instructions, you probably manage to keep those 10 bikes under control. And the more you know about stuff, you don't have to think about 7 or 8 bikes anymore. You can concentrate on maybe 2 bikes. You know, that's the main thing. So in this tutorial now, I'm going to give you a first step into the world of jazz guitar, which is really needed. And I'm sorry to say that at this moment it's more theory than practical use. I mean, we can take a groove. It already sounds like jazz. That we can do. I can show you a few things, and then you can start noodle around and work it out. And so let's get started. Okay guys, the first step to get in the world of jazz guitar is understanding the theory of chords and modes. It's all connected. How is it connected? You have basically you have songs which are in major and songs which are in minor. In this tutorial, I just talk about major songs, but if you know major, minor is more or less the same. But we're going to talk about this later. So in major, let's take an example in C major. You have the major scale, which you probably already know. This will be this one here. You know, that's the major scale. Or any other pattern which you know. Now in jazz, when you see a tune and you have a key, like it would be in C major, you have, if it's a really simple tune, you have kind of chord progression. This is called a chord progression, like something like this or something else. And in jazz, the chords are not triads. There are always seventh chords, or mostly seventh chords. So they contain 4 notes and not only 3 notes. How do you get to those chords, and how is it connected to the scale? This is the first question we try to answer here. And that will be this one here. If you have the C major scale, this one here, to create a chord, you take a note and add triads. So here, then here, here, and here. This is called stacking up triads, or triad stack, you know. So root note, triad, 5th, 7th. And this creates a chord which is called C major 7 when you start from the first note here. So if you can make it look easier when you just play the scale on one string. Same scale but now on one string. So root note, you always skip one, triad, 5th, 7th. So these 4 notes bring you to the chord C major 7. And on the first note of the scale it's always a major 7 chord because of this triad stack here. So I hope it's simple enough. I cannot make it more simple, sorry guys for that. So that's how it is. And this chord is played like this. Here there's a basic chord here which you 3rd fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret with the middle finger. C major 7. Sounds really nice, sounds jazzy. Now you have more chords. You have chords on each note of the scale. So on this note we already found out C major 7. On this note as well, on this one as well, and this one as well, and this one as well, and this one as well, you know. So if you do this triad stacking here, same thing, root note, triad, 5th, 7th. This creates a D minor 7 chord. And this will be grabbed like this. So you have 2 things to learn. You need to learn where the chords come from the triad stack, and how you grab them. This is this. Second chord will be this here. Borrow in the 5th, index, middle finger in the 6th, and ring in the 7th. And you play the middle 4 strings. So first chord. These are called the steps. This is the 1 in Roman numbers, 1, the 2, and it continues till the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the steps, and each step has a chord, and it's always the same chord, whatever key you are. So C major 7, second chord will be the D minor 7. The third step, if you do the triad stack again, it results to a minor 7 chord. That will be a E minor 7 chord. The fourth step results in a major 7 chord. Again, the triad stack results in this F major 7. The fifth step results in a dominant 7 chord. Again, triad stack. This results in this barre here and here and here. See? This is a G7 chord. The sixth step results in a minor 7 chord. Same chord as before, now we're up here. And the seventh step results... There we don't have enough space, but I can tell you by now, we can do it down here. It results in a, I do it up here again, in a minor 7 flat 5 chord. Minor 7, that will be this one here, but the 5 is flatted, so a half step down, minor 7 flat 5. So here, 14, 14, 15, 15. So now you can play the chords or the scale in chords. That would be like this. And here you are at the beginning again. It's a little bit tight here with the chord. Okay? You can also make a fun out of it. and just have a swing groove and play the chords. Okay, so that will be the chords, just in one position. You can also do it somewhere else, but we keep it simple. Now we just stay on this example here now. Now you have 7 chords. Okay, now out of these 7 chords, I just play them up and down, but that's not the way a song is created. Then you do a so-called chord progression. What is a chord progression? It is in the simplest way, but it's mostly not like this. But just you need to first understand the basics. In the simplest way is you noodle around with these chords. You start on the first chord and end on the first chord again, and then you just noodle around. You know, okay? So you can do anything. You can do anything you like, as long as you think it sounds cool. There's probably one little rule. The fifth chord is very important. This is called the dominant chord. Okay? The dominant chord, when you make a progression, you start on the 1, move around till the maximum tension. The maximum tension is on the dominant chord, and that leads back to the 1. So you place anything. See, now it sounds really unstable, and we'll resolve in 1 again. It's finished. You can play. Now you need to finish. Now it's finished. This is called a chord progression. You just move around the chords. Somehow you go to the dominant chord, which is on the 5th step. Remember Roman 5, 5th step, and that leads back to 1. The dominant chord is very, very, very important. I cannot highlight it more. Is very important, or the system of the dominant chord, which creates tension and resolves itself a 5th down. This is a 5th interval down, is really the important part of it. You will see later, but not in this tutorial, how important dominants are, because you also have secondary dominants, you have alterations, all that stuff comes in, and it's all the same. You create tension which resolves. That's how a chord progression works. You do something, tension, resolve. Okay? That's how you do it. So that is really very, very important. The dominant chord this is a 5th interval, or a 4th below. That will be here. This is the G, a 4th below or a 5th above. There you always find the dominant chord of any chord, but in this case of the root chord, since we are still in a basic tutorial. So the dominant resolves to 1. Okay? Now, we go to the next thing. Now you want to play any kind of soloing to those chords. And in jazz, you always analyze a song before you start. You find out which chord in the progression it is, and then you find out which scale is used, or which mode is called modes. And the modes, you probably heard of them, heard of them. They have complicated names, but you need to know the 7 basic modes you need to know by heart. Really by heart. Like, these will be the bisexual I was talking about, you know? So, every step has its It's mode. And how is it created? You start here to play the scale. That's the first one. That's the major scale, but it's also called Ionian scale. Ionian. I'm sorry for those names. It's from Greek stuff. I don't know who created these names, but this is how they're called. Ionian. You need to know it by heart. Okay? So if the first chord is played, you play the Ionian scale. This will be this. I just played it now as 3 notes per string here. Okay? When we go to the second chord, you play the same notes but starting from here. This creates another mode. Some of you might say, now what's the deal? It's the same notes, you know? Oops. But it's not. You will find out later, but it's for now you just need to know here you play a different mode. This one is called Dorian. I'm going to show you a pattern, 3 notes per string. You need to learn those. And you can hear it sounds different than the Ionian, even though they're the same notes. Why? Because you start on a different note. That creates another type of intervals. These are intervals. You have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's something else. Even they're the same notes. You start at different point, creates different intervals. Okay, we go to the next chord. This one is called Phrygian, and this creates this scale. Sounds different, and the intervals are 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. That's Phrygian. The next one. This creates a mode which is called Lydian, and it has the intervals 1, 2, 3, flat 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, flat 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. The next step is the fifth, is dominant. This creates this mode. It's called Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. The next one creates 2 more to go, and then we have it. This one creates called Aeolian scale. This is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. You need to know these intervals by heart. There's no other way. I know it's probably, if you're hearing this the first time, it's too much for you, but you need to learn this by heart. As I said, it's way more complicated than blues. If you manage this first basic lesson, then you're pretty good to go. This is probably the hardest part, this basic lesson here. So you watch it a few times, the whole thing, till you get it, you know. A lot of people don't get it at the first time. You just need to understand that the modes are not the scale just from another note. It's another row of intervals. See? The last one, still one more to go. Let's do it down here. Well, it's the same up here, but up here it's a little bit tricky. Let's do it down here. The last one creates a mode called Locrian, and that will be 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. You need to know these numbers by heart. 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 4, flat 5, flat 6, wait, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, and then we're back to 1. So you can play the chord, then play the mode, second chord, it's really tricky up here. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. So now we come to the final note of this tutorial. I know it's hard. Please rewatch it a few times. Every part is really important. You need to understand where it comes from. It will take some time till you really understand and can proceed with everything, but it's worth. Once the coin drops, as the saying in Swiss German, when the 20 runtergeht, that's probably a piece of gold which drops, then you get it, but it probably takes some time. As I said, the modes is a sum of intervals, is not always the same scale starting from another note. That's just the way you find out, but you need to learn every mode by heart. Now if you play a chord, if you see jazz standard now with the progression 1 to 3 to 2 to 5, that will be the progression you call it in Roman numbers 1, 3, 2, 5. So you first analyze, okay, 1, 3, 2, 5. Then you analyze the chords, okay, these are played. You find out when you see the chords, you analyze, okay, this is what's happening. Then you need to find out which scales are played, and first step is Ionian. Third is Phrygian. Second is Dorian. Because you learn by heart, you know it, And fifth is Mixolydian. Just as an example. And then you can start. Let's play this progression. 1, 3, 2, 5. Now we play the scales. Ionian, Phrygian, Dorian, Mixolydian. That first I play the progression with the chords, second time with the modes. I made a change. You call those changes. I made them long that you have enough time to check it out. Sometimes the chords come really fast, and you always need to jump from one chord to the next and switch the mode. That's the really demanding thing in jazz. You need to first analyze what's going on and then play what is needed, you know. Yeah, but important for today is that you understand you have this is called diatonic chord progression, or you understand you have the major scale, you have the chord which comes through triad stacks, which results in a chord. On each step another chord that you need to learn by heart. And each step has a mode which relates to the chord which is played. So you have step number 1, which is a major scale, a major 7 chord, you have Ionian. Second step, always Roman numbers, is Dorian and the minor 7 chord. Third step, Phrygian, minor 7 chords. Fourth step is Lydian with a major 7 chord. Fifth step, Mixolydian with a dominant 7 chord. Sixth step, Aeolian with a minor 7 chord. Seventh step, Locrian with the minor 7 flat 5 chord. And then we have our back at number 1. This stuff you need to know by heart. There's no shortcut, no easy way to go. You have to learn it by heart. Then you play progressions, and progressions are where you start on the 1, you move around and you get to the dominant, which is the 5, and then you go back to 1. You can do anything, but that's like a basic rule. You start on 1, somehow you get to a 5 and you go back to 1. Sometimes you don't do that, but that's something else. We come to that later. It's like to start is 1, noodle around till 5, back to 1. And then you have the progression, then you write it down like 1, 3, 2, 5, or 1, 6, 2, 5, or 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 5, 1, whatever you want. And then you play those chords and you attach to each chord, you attach a mode, which you, from the analysis of the steps, you know which of the modes you have to play. That's the main thing. Sounds easy, but I know some of you guys will take quite a while to get it, till the 20 runtergeht. This tutorial is really an important one to understand. It's not only jazz, it's to understand modes and where they come from, but I mean, in other genres, you don't need to really know this stuff, but when you go to, if you really want to play jazz, you really need to do this work, which I just was explaining now for probably half an hour or 40 minutes. And I know you guys, it's tough, and you're gonna be really angry, probably need a beer or a break or a coffee in between, and you need to rewatch this video all over again till you get it. And do exercises, write down your own progressions and try, just as I did. You can also try other keys. It doesn't really matter. It's any keys is all the same. I just made one example in C, but you can do any key. There are also other versions to grab the chords, but to keep it simple, just do this version which I showed now till you got it, you know. Yo. What more to say? I'm gonna attach a file to this lesson. It's gonna be available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy for registered members. You can download it for free. Check the theory department for that one. Yeah. The more you learn it, keep your time on this. Learn the intro, the steps, the chords, and the modes as a row of intervals by heart. You know, the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, flat, 3, and all that stuff. Learn that stuff by heart. I know it will take a while, and you still can start to play around, have some fun. Don't be too serious about learning about or waiting till you're ready to play, you know. Just have some fun. It's a long journey which you started with this lesson here. Probably will take 1 or 2 years at least, till you're free and I mean, if you want to improvise freely with all these modes, it will take quite a while, I must say. I would say 1 till 2 years at least, and we're not even talking about freely, just that you can kind of play around with complicated changes, because when you check out jazz standards, they have a lot of chords and it switches like this, you know. And these are the basics. If you don't understand these basics, you have no chance, I must say. I mean, some very few players, they can do it just out of their talent, just by playing. There's also an intuitive way to approach this, but it only works in blues, jazz blues, and jazz blues related tunes. It only works because there you can play bluesy and somehow search for the other notes which are missing, you know. I mean, I'm not saying this is the absolute 100% way to go, but if you really want to be serious about jazz, that you are able to play it and master it, there's only way. That's the way to go. There's nothing else to do. Yo, I can not say much more about this. As I said, I will attach some files to this. My Google thing just went off on my mobile. I will attach files. The stuff which I just explained are the files. You're available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy for members, or you can also do without that. I showed it quite clearly how it works. You can also check out different positions, but the system works all the same everywhere on the fretboard. Yo, if you love this lesson, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to have your friends which also want to learn jazz guitar, please tell them about my channel, that they can join here and you build a community here. We're all learning jazz together and getting through these times. And about the coin which drops, I remember for me it took quite a while, and then when it drops, everything is clear. I was talking about the 10 or 8 bicycles which you have to master. Then suddenly it gets easy. But first it's like, holy you know, I don't know how to do this. Yeah. Good. That's all I wanted to say. Me and Dr. Pink are saying goodbye, and rewatch the video if you still have questions. It's all explained in here. Yeah. Or ask a question in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. Bye, guys.